Welcome to our channel, and today we're going to discuss the various events occurring around the ending of a relationship, which is always very, very painful. And what we're hoping to do is to help people like you who find yourself with their hearts broken, and then what do you do? Because people often get desperate and they do all sorts of silly things which are not really constructive for the relationship. So I'm Luke and this is Louise.
Hi there. Okay, so Luke, you had your heart broken the other day, and to me, I feel it is important for people out there, especially women, understanding that guys also get hurt, because it seems like men move on so much faster or get over it or not expressing their feelings while they're going through a breakup, whether they were the one breaking up or whether they got dumped. So would you mind telling us the lead up to your breakup?
Yes, absolutely. That's a very good question, because I think a lot of people have this perception that men move on quickly, and that's really not the case at all.
Okay.
Because what I noticed was there was a sudden shift in the dynamic of the relationship. We would often go on trips together, and then all of a sudden she just didn't want to come on a trip, and there was a definite shift in the dynamic. And what would often happen is she would commit to coming for a weekend and then just either never arrive or arrive late with a flimsy excuse. So the point, unfortunately, these are the things you can only see with the benefit of hindsight if you track your timeline backwards. And the point is that your partner, or the dumper as it were, probably decided weeks, months, or possibly even as much as a year before to terminate the relationship. And I could sense this shift in dynamic. There was just a distancing. And unfortunately, I think we all have the propensity to wear blinders when we see the warning signs, because we don't want to believe that the possibility exists that you're going to be dumped. And invariably, it comes as a tremendous shock, because even though the signs are there, it will then just end suddenly, and you find yourself with your heart broken and really not knowing what to do. And other sorts of things were, obviously failure to keep arrangements, loss of intimacy. Intimacy just got less and less and less. And contrary to my previous experience, when the day came where she formally terminated the relationship, she said, I know you do the no contact rule, but it's obviously up to you, but I would ask that we don't do the no contact rule, because I love you very much and I'd still love to see you on occasions, on the odd weekend. And rather unfortunately, I agreed to this, and which is the biggest mistake I could have made, because one of the cardinal rules, if you want to maintain a relationship, or if you want in any way to salvage a relationship, is to make a clean break and cut it. Don't be friend zoned. Being in the friend zone is going nowhere, and it's just going to lead to further heartbreak. So, as I say, you'll be able to track back in time if you find yourself in a situation where you have been dumped. And never bargain, never negotiate, never beg and plead to get back in. And you'll find that if you track back in the timeline, you'll be able to see that the warning signs were there. So, Louise, are there any thoughts that you want to share with us, insights that you've had?
Well, before I do that, I've got a couple of questions for you. So the first one is, when she started not showing up, or she would cancel last minute, were you still secure in the relationship, or did you start having doubts?
That's a really, really good question, because I have a secure attachment style, and that behavior, the non-arrival, that evoked an anxious attachment style, because I felt that she was drifting away, and there was a stage where we were practically living together, and then all of a sudden there were longer and longer periods where we weren't seeing each other. So that is a really good question in terms of when they don't pitch, and that's not usual for me, because I'm normally very relaxed. I don't get anxious if I don't hear from her or SMS or whatever, but in this stage, at that stage, I think I suspected, my sort of subconscious suspected that something was going down, and that she was drifting away. And she probably was conflicted. She was probably conflicted for a long time before she decided to make the final cut.
And tell me, you are the author of Butchered, and you're in the public eye. Do you think that this breakup is making you feel worse because you have to face this publicly? Or do you think that if you weren't well known, it would have been better for you?
That's also a very good question, because with writing of my books and being in the public eye, and a very controversial subject, and obviously a source of anguish for me, and that was compounded by the breakup. In other words, it aggravated the situation, and probably aggravated my attachment style, because whereas before I was a secure attachment, and now I'm in the anxious attachment mode, and I'm hoping to obviously get back into the secure attachment style. But that's a very good question.
And being now on day 104, the same as me, no contact,
Yeah.
do you still hope that she would reach out, or are you feeling more confident with the choice that you made, that there's not going to be any contact?
Yeah, that's also a very pointed question, because I think a lot of the coaches on YouTube advocate no contact, and people do it with a hope that it will force their ex to reach out and connect with them again. But that's really not the object of the exercise. The object of the exercise is really to heal and to become a better version of yourself. So whilst my feelings will never change, but I could never, of course there is a glimmer of hope, because there's always hope in situations, and most of the time at some stage they will reach out. But I've found that I've gone from the hoping every day to now my life, I'm getting on with my life, and I'm working on myself and creating a better version of myself.
And if you could do it all over again, knowing what you know now, when she started pulling away, would you address the situation differently, or would you have a sit down with her, a proper sit down, and say, what's going on? Can we work through this?
Yes, and I think every relationship will teach you something, and that is, I think, fundamental, and I think it's probably a very important consideration to have at the beginning of the relationship, because we always go in starry-eyed, and it feels as though this is forever, and you're going to grow old with your new partner, the new love of your life. And that's what I learned from this relationship, and that is that once the warning signs start to appear, it's imperative to sit down and address the issues and be honest and open with each other, have an honest and open relationship, to be able to say, look, if at any stage one of us, the attraction starts to drop, it's important to address it and, you know, either fix it or part ways, because in many senses I think I could have started the healing process many more months ago, probably 6 months ago, and I'm sure that I've been in a better place. So yeah, I think that is important. If you start seeing those warning signs when they become distant, they start flaking on arrangements, there's a loss of intimacy, those are all warning signs which are really saying, they're red flags saying that you need to sit down and be frank and talk about it.
Okay, so from your point of view, every relationship starts off with the honeymoon phase. Sometime or other, the honeymoon phase will end, and the next step will come in where you're feeling more close to the person. Maybe you feel like, oh, this person is no longer attracted to me because we are not intimate as often as we are, but you guys can hang around and just be together. Would you say that is like a concern if you don't have that type of intimacy in the bedroom as often as you want? Do you see that as a warning sign, or do you feel like, no, that can happen, but we are getting closer?
Yes, absolutely. Of course, in the honeymoon phase or the infatuation phase, or they also talk about the limerence, that where you feel almost at one with your beloved, and as you rightly said, Louise, it does fade, sort of between 18 months to 2 years, and that's when the real work of love starts. And invariably, the level of intimacy will tend to drop off, and I think that's the value of honest and open communication, to articulate your needs in an adult fashion, a non-confrontal fashion, you know, to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's always wonderful, the honeymoon or infatuation phase of a relationship, and I think this is why it's important for couples to grow and to learn about relationships, to know that it's going to end and that it needs to be addressed. And it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a loss of love or intimacy, but it's something that one should expect, and that one should sort of make sure that you're prepared for when this happens.
Okay, well, I think this is it for our first episode. Please like and subscribe to our channels, and we'll see you next time. Bye.